All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's episode of the R.A.H podcast. I'm your host, Rahsaan Corbin II, and today's guest is a future FAMU softball legend in the making and a future softball and sports legend in the making in general, Kayla Alexandre. How you doing?
Hello, hello. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm chilling, I'm chilling. Also, just to be put some context on this is like the first time I'm calling her Kayla. I was introduced to her as KP on
Yes.
campus. So,
Yes.
how'd you get that nickname?
So actually it's like a thing that started while I was at FAMU. So it's like a very recent nickname, but I was just talking about that with my coach. I was like, yeah, like at this point I don't even respond to Kayla anymore. It's so weird. But yeah, so last year there was another girl named Kayla. She's still on the team now, but she got there her freshman year, but I came in as a transfer. So they were like, "Well, we can't have two Kaylas." And at that, like her last name is Aldridge and mine is Alexandre. So like the first three letters of our name are like our last name are the same as well. And they were like, "Alexandre is too long to call you. Like, what can we call you?" And I was like, "I don't know." So then somebody came up with Kayla P because like my middle name is Patricia. And then I was like, well, you might as well just call me KP. So then that's how that name came about, and it's stuck ever since.
Like the origin of names, like the origin of names. Yeah, I like that because I never asked why it went by that. I was like, you know what, they like being called by it. I'm just gonna go with it. So glad I
It's
got
okay. The
that.
other day, I just found out my best friend had no clue that that was why I was called like KP. He was like, "Oh yeah, like I thought it meant Perez." I'm like, "Where did Perez come from?" And he was like, "It's because you're Dominican. I thought that was your name." And I'm like, "No, no, not at all."
Well, that's nice. We all learn something new every day.
Yes,
That's the whole purpose of life. So that's
yes.
good. All right, so we're kind of the icebreaker. But, I want to do a little bit of a would you rather icebreaker to get the blood flowing a little more. You're an
Okay.
athlete. You got to get a proper warm up before you start practice, before you start a game and whatnot. So,
Yes.
let's see. Where can I begin on this? Would you rather swim in a pool of Nutella or a pool full of maple syrup?
Ooh. Ooh, that's a hard one. Maybe maple syrup because I feel like I'd be easier to get through than Nutella.
It would suck if it's cold out, getting through the syrup because syrup is
Mm.
like dense when
Yeah.
it's cold or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that I have a list of like funny icebreakers that I just found, and I just been using them for every episode. Either that, or just coming with stuff on the fly. So yeah,
That's too funny.
another
Yeah.
one. Oh, we're gonna do two more. Two more.
Okay.
Would you rather labor under hot sun or extreme cold?
Extreme cold, um, because like as a softball player, like we're always outside, and I feel like during the hot, it's way more miserable than like the cold. Like you could just layer up. Which this past weekend we were playing in like 30-degree weather. I had like four pairs of sleeves on under my uniform, so I definitely think layering clothes is better than being hot
Mm,
all the time.
yeah. I can see that. So final one. Would you rather spend a week in the forest or a night in a real haunted house?
Ooh, I think the haunted house. Hmm. Hold
See, it
on.
gets you thinking. It gets you thinking.
Yeah. No, I think the forest. Because I don't know, the haunted house, like the spirits, they might not be nice spirits, you know what I'm saying? Um, but I feel like I would take my chances with the animal,
Okay.
maybe.
What was that one song? If you ever see me fighting a bear, help the bear or something, something like
Help the
that.
bear.
Help the bear. I
Literally.
was like, I don't know,
Help the
man.
bear.
I might just be on the sideline. I don't know if I have the strength to wrestle a bear.
I don't think so either. I think it would tear me apart.
Yeah, I would be like, and then they'll get on like their two legs. Next thing you know, they're like 9 feet tall. I
Yeah,
was be
I'm
like,
already short to begin with. It's probably taller than me on its four legs. Like,
anyway, glad we got the laughs out, what I'm saying? We get this stuff started. So before we dive into like the beef of the interview, let's get to know about you a little more. Where you go to school, what are you studying, and where you're from. We'll start there.
Okay, so I'm a big rattler. I go to Florida A&M University, and I'm studying computer information systems. And then I am from Orlando, Florida.
Orlando, Florida. What's your classification?
I'm a senior. I graduate in May. I'm super excited.
Woohoo! Oh yeah, yeah. Big congrats, big grad. The
Thank you.
building. Yeah. So what's your on-campus involvement outside of well you said you're part of softball. But do you have any other on-campus involvement or even just like community involvement?
Yeah, so I'm in BSLS. We do a lot of community service like that. Also the softball team, like they just make us do a whole bunch of community service as well, just because like we're a part of the community. This past weekend we did like the Unity game with FSU, so we got to sign posters and be around like the kids in the community. That was cool. I'm also the vice president of FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So I've been doing a lot of stuff with them. It's a new club that we just started up this semester, so that's exciting. I get to leave my legacy behind with the club that I helped start. So that was pretty cool. And then also I'm a part of Florida Navigators. So it's like another Christian organization on campus.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And congrats on getting that club started up and you being vice president. Hopefully, the people that come after you will leave a bigger legacy than you left behind. So
Yeah.
that's always the best part about leadership, passing the torch. Well, that's not the best part, but like that's a good way to end it off. You know what I'm saying? Moving on to the
Yes.
next chapter. So just wanted to preface that. It's a lot more fun
Yes, for
things in
sure.
leadership. So obviously I had class with you, but like one of the things you would always talk about is or bring up in class when making references. 'Cause I think it was intro to database analysis or what was it what was the class called? Database something. Intro to database something.
Application systems or something like
Yeah,
that.
database application system. Either way, working with SQL, work on database and whatnot. Every time you gave an example of something, you always use like a sports analogy or a softball analogy. So like, where'd your love of softball first start? And like, how'd you get involved with softball?
So I have like the most random story ever as to how I got started. So basically my grandparents, so to preface this, my grandpa, he played for the Dominican Olympic team. So he played in DR, like playing baseball all his life. I think he played also in the military, like for the DR, I don't know. But yeah, he played in DR baseball all his life. So one day, I guess my grandparents were driving around Oviedo, Florida, and they see like this sign that says like baseball tryouts coming up. So they told my mom that they had my brother go out and try out for this baseball team. And I went, of course, as a supportive sister. And as like, if you've ever been to like a rec facility, it's like the baseball field and then the softball field, whatever. So he's on the baseball field and I'm just wandering around and I go and I look and I sit in the stands and I'm watching these girls play softball. But at the time I didn't know it was softball. So I'm sitting next to my mom and I'm like, this is so cool. I didn't know that girls played sports. I didn't know girls played baseball. Like, this is kind of cool. My mom was like, do you want me to sign you up? I was like, absolutely not. No. No, I have zero interest in doing this. And literally the next day, my brother had practice, and so did I.
Oh, that's
So
crazy.
I ended up playing literally the next day after that. And I was a lot bigger than everybody because I've been 5'3" and 3/4" since I was like 8 years old. So I was a lot bigger than the other 8 year olds, and I was out there hitting the ball hard. Mind you, I've never swung a bat in my life before. But yeah, after that, my mom was like, "Yep, you're kind of good at this," and the coaches were like, "Yeah, you're kind of good at this. You should keep going." So I did. I played like coach pitch the first 2 weeks, and then they were like, "Yeah, you're too good. You need to move up." So then I moved up, and then like a couple weeks later, a travel ball team was like, "Hey, like we're an Oviedo travel ball team. You should join our team." And all of a sudden, I'm 8 years old playing with 12-year-olds, and it just happened really fast, but. I got good very fast just because I was so big. But yeah, that's my origin story.
And then like give us a timeline perspective on how you got to FAMU because like you said you're about to graduate so you have a bit of experience in college. I know your college story, but if you feel comfortable, you know what I'm saying, can you share that as well and like what kept you going all these years like
Yeah.
from when you're playing with 12-year-olds up till now?
Yeah, so after that, I started to get more competitive. I think when I turned around like 14, I realized like I wanted to play college softball, like eventually that was my goal. So I started playing on teams out of the state of Florida. I played on a team in Georgia first in like Atlanta area, and I would travel up there every single weekend. I started my recruiting process really early because at that age, like, it was before the recruiting rule had changed. So like girls were getting signed at like the age of 13, 14 years old. So I was like, I need to keep up. Was traveling up there every weekend. We were playing in Georgia, barely ever in Florida, which is so unfortunate. But Alabama, Tennessee, the Carolinas, Colorado. So I was traveling a lot throughout my childhood, playing softball everywhere. And then I left that team in Georgia for a team in Alabama, and I played with them until like my junior year, I believe. And then I switched to another team back in Atlanta where I got committed my junior year to Florida International University. I played there my freshman year, but right before my freshman year, like literally a month before school started, the coaching staff got let go of the entire staff that recruited me. So that was a very hard situation for me because at that time the transfer portal wasn't a big thing. So they basically gave me the option to like either play there that year or I would enter the portal before even making it to FIU. And it would not take a year of my eligibility, I don't believe, but I would just have to sit out for a year. Like I couldn't play in any games and I would just sit back and watch the team. I guess I could practice, but I don't think I could like I was eligible to play. So I decided to stay at FIU my freshman year. Um, we got a new coaching staff like the first couple weeks that we got there, and I didn't really like the coaches that much, if I'm being honest. I had a really hard time being there. My cousin passed away. My teammates weren't the best people to me. So it was a hard situation. Through that, I found Christ though. So that's a good upside of it. When you're feeling very lonely, you turn to Christ. So that was the upside of it. That's really what kept me going. And again, like I said, the transfer portal wasn't very big at that time. So I would like talk to my mom and I'm like, hey mom, like I think I want to transfer. I think I want to transfer. And she's like, that's not a smart idea. Everybody says you enter the portal and like only few people get out of the portal. And I was like, well, you know what? Honestly, I'm willing to take the chance because I don't really like it here at all. Like the education's not as good. Like for me to stick through it, softball is not that great. The people out here aren't that great. So I was like, I might as well just take the chance. I had a couple D1 offers out of there. Literally, I played in 5 games all year long. Like out of 50 something, I had zero stats for like being honest. Um, so I had a couple D1 offers out of there just because like I was a big name coming out of high school. Like I was ranked in the top 100 in the country for my position. And I ended up actually going JUCO out of FIU just because I didn't really feel like I had the love for softball anymore. I just like I knew I wanted to keep playing, but I didn't really know if I loved it. So I was like, let me go JUCO for a year, and if that goes well and I find my love for softball again, then I'll go D1 again or wherever God takes me. So I ended up going to Santa Fe College in Gainesville, Florida. I played there my sophomore year. I had a great year. I went through a lot of recovery from the trauma that I had went through at FIU. But I was blessed with like the most amazing coaching staffs that helped me get through it and find my confidence again in softball. So then my after that year, I entered the portal again to go to well, I had went on a whole bunch of visits, but I ended up choosing FAMU. My mom was like, "You want to stay in Florida? You know you're a Florida girl." I had a whole lot of offers in Texas, and my mom was like, "You know you want to stay in Florida," and I was like, "You know what? You're right." So I ended up transferring to FAM, and literally as soon as I got here, like it felt like home. Like I literally had went on a visit before I committed. I went on a visit, I think I had went on like a 1 day visit as I was driving up to Tennessee to go play summer ball. Um, and like I just loved fam. Like it was literally during the summer, there was nobody on campus, but like everything about it just felt like home. I don't even know how to explain it to this day. But yeah, I came to fam and I've loved it ever since. And we had a different coach last year than we do this year, but honestly, like I still love fam. I love softball, love my teammates. Like it's just been great vibes since I've been here. So yeah.
That's what's up. Now, this is a perfect transition. Since you said you kind of lost the love of softball at one point, like how'd you make sure you were still developing as a player and making sure you still had that love and drive to keep playing every year? Like, what was keeping you going, like internally?
Yeah. my freshman year, I'm not gonna lie, like that was all God for real. Well, it's always all God, but that for real was really God because when I tell you I was down bad, I was down bad. But my sophomore year, it was really my coaches more than my teammates. My coaches like they kept telling me like you're such a great player, like you just like really need to like start believing yourself and like having that confidence in yourself again. Um and like one of our coaches, she played at UF for all 4 years or maybe 5 years, and she was a pitcher. And she would throw me front toss, well, not front toss, she would live pitch to me every day. And I'm not gonna lie, I used to take her yard. Like, I used to take her yard. Like, the ball would go over the batting cage, over the fence. Like, and they would be like, listen, like, you see how you're doing this? Like, you know, you're that girl. Like, come on, you need to lock in. Like, you're that girl. My junior year, it wasn't as great as like I wanted it to be, but I still played pretty well. But I really think like my teammates got me through it. My teammates, they always have my back. I'm not gonna lie, like my FAMU teammates have been the best teammates I've had like my entire softball career. And then this year, it's been going pretty well. I mean, we've taken a lot of losses, but we're playing against Power Five schools, so not that it's expected, but it happens, But definitely like my teammates have been beside me this entire time. Like I don't think I've ever had a closer bond with people in my life than my teammates. So they've definitely been keeping me going and keeping that love of softball in me and that drive.
That's what's up. Yeah, you guys seem like a good mesh together. Every time I see you, what's it called, the dugout, right? I don't know my baseball softball terminology, but the dugout, y'all are always
Yeah.
laughing and stuff on the in between innings, and then you're also cheering each other on when you're at bat. So I'm
Yeah.
like, that's really good, and I'm glad you're experiencing the family spirit, um,
Yeah.
and great teammates because great teammates win championships and win games and whatnot. So that's amazing.
Yes.
Kind of already talked about the most challenging part of softball, but like, do you see yourself still playing after you graduate?
So I actually might possibly get an extra year of eligibility. And I was thinking about doing grad school, but at the same time, I don't really know yet just because, like, if I have a job after this, all that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of how things play out. Um, and grad students don't commit until like later in the summer term anyway. So I probably won't make a decision until like June, July, anyways. But I do actually play for the Dominican Olympic team. So whenever they have events, I am planning on attending after I graduate just to keep me around softball. And I do want to like be around the sport of softball and baseball as a career. So I think I'll be around the sport a lot. I don't know if I'll necessarily be playing it, but I know I will be in the community of softball and baseball.
That's what's up. Yeah. Now that we got an overall perspective, let's get into, your day-to-day life as a softball student, more specifically at FAMU. So how was the adjustment? You talked about you liked the environment before you even got like on campus when everybody was there, but how was that first semester for you, meeting the new staff, meeting new teammates, and already coming in with that mentality like this is my home, this I feel like home. Like what was going through your mind?
Man, the transition was awesome. Like going from a PWI to an HBCU is something different. I loved it. I loved it. But definitely coming in, the coaches and like FAMU softball, I don't know if you know or are familiar with like the culture, but like as one of the teams like on campus, like I think we have like the strongest culture out of all those other sports teams. Like I'm talking about like we have a team prayer, a team song, like our cheers, like they're very specific to like us as people and like the former players. So our old coaches, the ones that left last year, they made it a big deal for us to know the team prayer, the team song, all this stuff, the alma mater. We literally learned it like within the first week of being on campus. And like they're like, yeah, if you guys don't learn it, you guys are gonna be running hills. Like you guys need to know this. You will have a test at the end of the week. So literally like that in itself, like we literally like all the newcomers and transfers, like freshman transfers, we all got together. I think it was like 10 of us last year. Like half the team was new last year. And we all gathered together in the dorms. Like we had grad students, fifth year, sixth year grad students, all up in this room in one of the dorms, just learning the team song, the team prayer, the alma mater. We were practicing it every single day. And then at the end of the week, like we had to perform it for the rest of the team. So I think like the culture at FAMU is very, very strong, especially in FAMU softball. So like that was really, really nice to see. And then like as far as that first semester, oh my gosh, homecoming. something I've never experienced before. Especially at FIU, like I don't think our culture at all as a school was great. Like I don't know the alma mater there, like any of that stuff. So for me to come into FAM and like see the alumni, how in touch they are with like the current student body, all that stuff, like I don't know, being a rattler is something different. Like for real, for real. I can go anywhere and if I see a rattler, like I know they're gonna come talk to me. I know like it's family, like literally we're the family. Like that's just how it is. And my mom, like she didn't go to fam, but like she'll meet people in her workplace and she'll be like, "Oh, my daughter goes to fam. I'm a rattler. I'm a rattler." I'm like, "You're not a rattler, but okay, we'll let you have it, I guess."
That's funny actually. Um, and how do you balance, academics, softball, personal life, and then your other engagements? How do you do that since you got the FAMU, or how have you been
Yeah.
handling it?
Yeah, very much time management. I'm not gonna lie, in being at a HBCU, it has a lot of distractions that comes with it. So, definitely learning like what you can and can't do, like prioritizing your school first, softball, then comes second, and then your everyday school life. There are a lot of conflicts like last year and this year I have like a class that conflicts with practice time. So like learning how to like manage both aspects, it's just all time management and communication, just like with your coaches, with your programs, with your classes, and like if you're in any extracurriculars, just being very open and communicating. But as long as you yourself have like everything planned out, like I use a calendar for everything. If not, I don't really think I would survive. But yeah, so just being really organized and balancing my time with everything and still making sure I have time for myself because that can definitely get lost in the hecticness.
So what are like some self-care routines you do outside of, school, softball, like with the little time you have? Because,
Yeah.
every minute counts, every second counts, but like what are some self-care routines you do, especially taking care of yourself as an athlete?
Oh my gosh, recently it's been sleeping, I'm not gonna lie. It's been sleeping. But usually I like to go on walks and stuff with my friends. I don't really like going on walks by myself. Well, I do, but like Tallahassee, you know how it is, being a woman and all that. So, I usually go with my friends and we'll go walk around like Cascade or like we'll walk around FSU's campus or FAMU's campus, whatever the case may be. But just like being around my friends is probably like my favorite part, and like self-care thing. I also like to paint. That's another one of my favorite things, and I sit in my car and listen to music a lot, and that's like my version of self-care.
Yeah, yeah, everything. I feel like self-care doesn't have to be like, man, I'm gonna go like get a massage, or I'm gonna go like just sit outside and just stare at like the trees or something. Like it's something you
Yeah.
love. Nothing
Yes.
nothing specific. There's no right or wrong answer. So I like that. I like that. That's good. Because I always wondered how like what student athletes do outside of everything. So I'm like, I always see me at the basketball game. I was at the basketball games. I was at the basketball games. You know what I'm saying? They would be at there. They got to be there like a couple hours prior to the game. Do like a warm ups and all that. So I always wondered that. So that's a good introspective of it.
That's funny that you say that. So the other day we actually went to one of the FSU basketball games, and while we were there, we ended up sitting with like FAMU basketball players. Like it just happened so randomly. And we had went to like Mo Cookies afterwards and we sat down and we're talking to them and they were asking us the same thing. They were like, "So what do you guys do outside of softball?" Because like as athletes, like some of us like are close, but like other teams like you barely come across. And like basketball, I barely ever come across. So like sitting down and talking to them and like seeing what they do outside of their sport is like really, really funny too as well.
That's what's up. Yeah, the men's basketball team's killing this year. They're second in the SWAC right now
Yeah.
with about 2 weeks left of regular season. So really good. I always liked when basketball games, whether they were good, whether they're bad. I enjoyed being in the atmosphere, especially at HBCU. It's a little different.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a good introspective. Kind of taking a step back and focus more on the academic realm. How do you see your CIS background? Shoot. Oh, how do you see your CIS background complementing your career as a student athlete or even switching to industry? Because I know we had a little bit of conversation about you want to work in the industry, but like, do you see your CIS background coming back like
Yes,
after?
I do. So, I actually want to be a data analyst in the MLB. That's my dream job. So I see it coming in through like that part. Unfortunately, like CIS is not the same thing as data analytics. It's like a little bit more broad, but I do have like obviously as we talked about like the SQL background, like SQL background. So that's definitely like helped with like applying to like jobs and stuff like that. Because that is the world that I want to work into. But being very I guess CIS in itself is just very broad. So like I feel like I have a broad perspective of like all the stuff that I need to know for moving forward in my career. And like even like as I've been applying for like MLB jobs and whatnot, like I can apply for jobs in like web design and like apply for jobs in data analytics or like in operations or like it just gives me such a broad like variety of different things that I can do in the sports industry. Because that's like ultimately what I want to do, like just be in the industry in general. But definitely as a data analyst, that's like the goal, but you know.
So, and it's kind of a good transition right now because you're an NIL Empower program scholar. Is that the right terminology?
Yeah.
Let me make sure. I made sure I did my research before, make sure I had the right notes. We're also an NIL Empower program scholar, like I said. How did that feel when you first got like that letter in the mail? I'm not sure how it works. Like that letter in the mail or email. Like, how did that feel? Because see NIL deals floating all around
Yeah.
college sports the past few years. It's become more of a hot topic, but it's been a topic that's been going around. So how did that feel?
It was really awesome. I got it to practice one day. Also, I just apply for everything. Like anything I see, I apply for. I'm like one of those people that like I'm just a go-getter. Like if I see anything and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna apply for it. Because I'm not afraid of like a no. So I actually got an email right after practice and it was like, you're sponsored by Meta. And I'm like, Meta? And the NCAA? Like what? Like what? So I got the email and it was like, put in your shirt size, whatever, all this stuff, like whatever, and we have our first meeting in like a week or whatever. And I'm like sitting in the locker room, I'm like, do I tell everybody about this? And I look over at my teammate. They also like sent everybody like a email of like all our Instagrams and whatnot because Meta is Instagram, not Twitter. I
Meta,
don't
no,
know.
it's just Meta. Meta's
Yeah.
Facebook and
Facebook and
Instagram
WhatsApp. Yeah.
and
So
WhatsApp. Yeah.
yeah, so they put all of our stuff on there, and I see my teammate's name, and I look at her, I was like, no way we both got selected for this. Like, this is kind of fire. Like, what? But yeah, that experience it's been very awesome so far. I've been able to like they're awesome. They teach you how to increase your content, increase your NIL value. They also help you with like job stuff. So like they give you like a contact of like a whole bunch of people. I've had like phone calls with the president of NCAA basketball, like crazy things that I would never have the opportunity to do without it. Like it's just been amazing. And the people are awesome. I've met D1 athletes, well, women, female athletes because it's a female program. But female athletes from all over the country, from D1 to D3, like everybody's just so awesome, so supporting, and it's just been a really great experience so far.
Man, that's amazing. And that's why I started out saying future, sports legend. I'm going to keep it broad because you never know. You never know. You might do data analytics for the NBA. You might do it for the NFL. You know what I'm saying? You might do it for, a team overseas as well. So that's amazing. And you also have other sponsorship and slash partnerships that you've done that I've seen pop over the past year or so. And those caught me off guard because I'm like, how'd she get this? Like, but then you just answered, you say you just been applying, but can you name some of the other partnerships you have outside of, I don't even know if it's through softball. Just go through the other sponsorship and partnerships you participate in.
Yeah, so my biggest one is probably, well, the Meta one. That one's pretty big.
Oh yeah.
And then probably second to that is Insomnia Cookies. I've also worked with like Hollister. Unfortunately, I didn't get to post that brand because FAMU didn't approve of it, but
Hmm.
I got to at least work with them behind the scenes, did a photo shoot and everything. That was pretty cool. And then who else have I worked with? Oh my goodness. I've worked with so many people that I can't even remember on the spot. Hold on. I'm gonna pull up my
Oh
list
yeah.
again real quick.
Because it was a
Um,
list. Because I feel like every day at one point, I was seeing something new. Like you would post a video saying, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm this. I'm sponsored by this. And like I'm
Yeah.
feeling, trying to fill in like X, and then we're doing Y, and then Z is going to happen with the outcome. I'm like, oh shoot, she's
Yeah.
going up.
Yeah, I actually the most recent one I did, I like filmed it like 2 days ago. I did one with iHerb. It's like a supplement company. They just like have like a whole bunch of like beauty and health supplement stuff. So they sent me a whole bunch of stuff. The video will be coming out soon, hopefully if they approve it. But yeah, I've done like other partnerships with like Easton. I did CVS. That was a cool one.
Yeah, that one. That was.
Um,
I think that's the one that caught me off guard because I was just
yeah, you're
random.
like, what is this?
I was like, what?
CVS, what?
Yeah, I
Like
think I messaged you. I'm like, how are you getting these?
yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot. It's been fun though. Like it just really helps you get like a more broad thing. Like, oh, I did Urban Outfitters too. I've done a lot of stuff. Wow.
Did you see yourself becoming like an influencer on in a way?
I want to. I feel like it, okay. So in Meta, what they've been teaching us, because we have like these meetings, they've been teaching us like, they're just like, oh yeah, like this is your prime. Like, we don't want to say it's your prime, but like this is like the easiest way for you to market yourself. Like, you're a college athlete right now. Like, everybody wants to know what college athletes are doing. Like, you are at your most influential point in your life. So if you're gonna build your brand, do it now so that when you're done being a college athlete, you can keep that brand and keep building off of it. So I feel like I do really need to like lock in now because I do only have 1 year left.
Mm,
But I feel like time wise, I'll be better at it once I graduate because like it's a lot to edit a video. Like
yeah.
you don't think it's a lot, but it's a lot to sit down and edit a video. I'm not gonna lie.
Still, that's amazing that you're having this. And I was gonna ask, has you just started, but has your perspective on branding and marketing changed as you were getting all these partnership and sponsorship deals come in the door for you?
Yes, so much. So I actually, as a CIS major, we have to take a lot of business classes. So I did marketing and management. So that actually has helped me as well, just because like I understand like what brands look for, and like how to market yourself better. And like honestly, what I've realized, again, like I said earlier, I apply for everything, and like that's the first part of like marketing, like just putting yourself out there. So it definitely has changed my perspective and also like learning like insights and like who your target audience is and how to brand to them and market to them, like that kind of stuff. I've definitely learned a lot more. And it's also cool because like we talked about earlier, like applying like things you learned in school to like your real life stuff. And I wouldn't consider myself like an influencer person, like in general, but like being able to apply like my marketing class and my management class to like what I'm actually doing just for fun, you know? So
Yeah.
that stuff has been pretty cool.
I said it once, I'm gonna say it again. This is amazing. Make sure y'all are taking notes. Uh, let's see, because you kind of answer most of these.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a talker.
No, no, you're good. No, it's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes my job a little easy. No, I'm kidding. But we're going to kind of freestyle right now. How do you, it's kind of a reflection moment. How do you feel about the evolution of women's sports, especially with softball over the past few years, especially getting an NIL deal? Like, where do you see it going from here? Obviously, we see it going up, but like,
Yeah.
we'll talk about you specifically. Do you see yourself like returning back to the softball realm, like being a coach or mentor or assistant coach somewhere on the staff?
Yeah. So I actually have this thought a lot. It's kind of my mom's fault because she told me like a couple years ago, she was like, I think it was after my freshman year actually. She was like, you go through these experiences, but maybe it's really just God trying to teach you like what good coaching looks like, what bad coaching looks like. And she was like, maybe like that's what your calling is. And I do feel like I do love giving back to like my community and like the younger athletes. Back when I'm at home, I coach a travel ball team. I do private lessons with players and that kind of stuff. So I do for sure see myself at some point doing that. Um, I don't know when or how or what, but I do feel like it's in my calling and it's in my personality to help and teach other athletes and, just better them in general and teach them from like the things that I have learned. I also am a mentor for younger athletes as well. So like literally I have she's 10 years old. She's the cutest thing in the world. And she'll call me and she's like, "Hey, I had this happen to me. Can you give me advice?" And like sometimes we'll just talk about what she has going on in life. It'll have nothing to do with softball. So like those kind of moments are very fulfilling and I feel like I would want to continue to be a coach and helping younger athletes learn from the things that I went through and how to get through them and hopefully avoid them in general. So, yeah.
Outside of your team, this kind of goes back to the evolution part of women in sports. Outside of your team and your past teammates, do you feel supported, like within the sports realm? I guess realm is a
Yes.
proper word. Do you feel supported? Like you're like these are not just people telling, like just talking in my ear, telling me what I want to hear, but they telling me like you, if you want to do this, you got to do this. Like if you
Yeah.
want to go further, you got to stop doing this. Oh shoot, I hit my iPad. You got to stop doing this and you gotta do this instead. Like, do you feel supported outside of that? And like, can you give a example if you can think of one?
Yes, I do feel supported. In general, like the softball community is very, very close. And then like now that I'm like applying for jobs and like talking to people and networking more, I realize that it's not just the softball community, like the sports community, they're just very tight knit. Like everybody knows each other. So like for example, the softball community, I also work for Pro Swings, like whenever they have camps and stuff. They used to be a hitting facility, like training organization. But then they ended up now they're doing camps. So I'll work their camps whenever I'm back in town or whenever they have camps. They do like two or three a year. But through that, like I used to go to those camps when I was like in my recruiting process. So being on the other end of it is insane, like being able to like teach the athletes and whatnot. But also now I'm around college coaches, like as a college athlete, like talking to them about like things that they're looking for and whatnot. And like again, everybody knows everybody. So like they give me advice on like things that I should be doing or if I want to be a GA or if I want to do better this season or if I need a job opportunity, like everybody just knows everybody and they're so willing to help, which I love. Like, especially like as we were talking about before, like being a female athlete and like being a woman in the sports industry in general is already hard because it's a male dominated field. But like the support that like the softball community or like the women around me have, it's just insane. And like they're just always so willing to help. Like if like I told them I wanted to be for example, I was talking to the Nova Southeastern assistant coach at this camp. Mind you, she's known me since I was like a kid, but we've had like very minimal conversations. Like and she's like literally seen me grow up like throughout the years. So that's been pretty cool. But recently at the last camp we were talking and she was like, "So, yeah, like you're about to end your softball career. Like what do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to work in the MLB." And she was like, "Oh, I know somebody that works for this and this team. Like, I'm gonna send you your she was like, send me your LinkedIn and send me your resume. And honestly, you don't even have to do that. I'm just gonna send you the lady's number. Like, just get in contact with them." So like it's just like those kind of things. Like it's just very supporting and like it it costs them nothing, but it just means so much like for them to look out for me, especially like they don't know me for real. Like they know me as a softball player, but they're so willing to help and be there for me and help me develop not only as a softball player but as a woman and in my future career. So, yeah.
When you first get paired with these younger players, like you mentioned the 10-year-old player for one of the camps, like when you first meet them, I obviously you get to know them, but then they're like, "Man, how'd you get so good at softball?" Like, what's like one piece of advice you would just like say to them, like, "Yeah, this is why I'm good at softball. This is why I'm good, and it's why I'm doing what I'm doing now."
I think the mental part of softball is more it's worth more than the physical part of it. So like your IQ, your being resilient, your ability to be coachable, I think that takes you further than actually being good at softball. And I think that's what makes me better than like somebody who's physically better than me because like again like some people I think this has been like the topic of conversation in my life recently about how people are like my coach, I'm not gonna lie, I think sometimes like I get on her nerves because I not that I don't care, but like if I make an error, like it literally does not affect me anymore. Like I literally will look at her, like she'll be yelling in my face, and I'll be like, "Okay, coach, got it."
On to the
And like
next
I
one.
know that like irritates her, but like that's just how I am, and like I think that's what makes me so good. And that's the advice that I would give to somebody else, like just being able to be first of all coachable or and just being resilient. Like that's really what it just comes down to, like being resilient and mentally tough because that will get you through so much more than being a good athlete, you know?
Got you. And kind of closing out with a few more questions? What are some other benefits you've experienced from being a student athlete besides the partnerships or anything else?
I think it's just taught me, like, it's just made me who I am, in general. It's taught me to network. I think those are like lessons that I would have never learned if I wasn't an athlete. going through the recruiting process at the age of like 13, 14, 15, 16, it taught me to how to talk to people. It taught me how to take no, like take no for an answer, and just move on from it. So I think it's just taught me like real life lessons that I don't know. I don't know if other people learn that at such a young age, but it's definitely stuck with me throughout the years, and it's just made me so resilient and just not afraid of things. Like I feel like I have very little fear to like rejection, that kind of stuff. So I think that's one of the benefits. Also, just having a community around you all the time, like being in a team aspect. I know like even my teammates that I'm not super close with, like I could call them up and be like, hey, like this and this happened, can you help me or whatever. And it just makes like lifelong connections in general too. Like again, if I know somebody and they played softball, like that already gives me an in to being like that much closer. And as I'm applying for jobs and stuff, I'm meeting people, they're like, oh, you're an athlete, like that kind of thing. And they know that the qualities that come with being an athlete, like time management, being resilient, hardworking, all that stuff. So it helps me in that way. Like it benefits me in that way. People kind of know what comes with being an athlete. So it's just like, I don't have to speak too much about it.
Kind of closing out. It's like a random question. Do you feel like when you first started, like imagine you go back in time and you're sitting next to your younger self and you just said no to your mom, like I don't want to play. But you pull up with FAMU, softball gear on. Do you think she would be like, I did that? Or do you think she'd be like, no, that's not happening. I don't know why you even came here. Like, what do you think like your younger self would say to you right now?
Shoot. I think my younger self would be like, "What? That's crazy." Like, "Woo, how did we get there? What all led to that?" Which honestly, like on the other aspect, like I'm here where I am, but sometimes I look back and I'm like, "How did we go from there to here?" Like, wow, like that was a lot.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would believe it, but I'd just be like, "Wow. That's interesting." Like, I don't think I would tell my mom, like, no, let's not. Like, I don't think I would trade any of my experience for anything because I think, like, it was meant to happen how it happened. But I would be very confused as to how it
I feel like we're all confused in certain situations. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Like, for example, for school, why am I taking this class? Why am I taking this class? You don't
Yeah.
know till that very end when you're actually applying to stuff and then when you graduate. Obviously, you need to graduate. That's one.
Yeah.
But like, you need it for more classes and different experiences and maybe real life experience. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah. Do you have any I'm gonna close out here. Do you have any other closing remarks or like words of encouragement or, questions you want to prompt to the audience who may want to, whether they're a casual listener or they want to go into softball?
I think I would say, for softball and for life, like I've been saying, just be resilient, be open to hearing the answer no, just be very fearless in everything that you do and carry yourself with confidence. I feel like that's like the biggest thing, that like I've learned over the years. Like if you carry yourself with confidence and you go and give your 100% to everything, like you really can't be disappointed with the outcome. So that's for sports and for life in general. I think that that's like my kind of life motto. That's what I'm living by recently, and just being willing to like being open to everything. Like I've been applying for jobs, I've been getting some random job offers and I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," whatever that kind of stuff. So like just being open to everything, don't have to stick to a plan. Things change. Yeah.
That's what's up. Well, once again, Kayla, KP, probably gonna call you Kayla from time to time. We'll see how that goes. It'll probably feel a lot awkward. But thank you for taking the time to be on. I really appreciate it. I know we talked a little bit on the side about your experience with softball, but I'm glad we got to, set up this conversation. I'm hoping the viewer was able to get something out of it. So I just wanted to say thank you before we close it out.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun. I love being able to talk.
Is this your first time like being featured on a podcast? I know you probably did interviews, but like on a podcast before?
I actually did a podcast right before my freshman year of college, and it was before that whole coaching situation had happened. So listen, like I went back to listen to it the other day, and I was like, "Wow, girl, you've changed so much.
Yeah, now you
So
got
much
something
has
else to look back
happened."
on like 5 years from now. Let's say like all of a sudden, boom, you're a general manager of an MLB team or something. I don't know. I'm just
That'd be
shooting.
awesome.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just shooting for something. We always go for the highest thing we can, go for. But yeah, that was a completely off topic. Anyway, once again, thank you to the viewer watching this. If you enjoyed the content you've experienced today in this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend. And until next time, we'll see you on the next episode, and peace out.